Well, happy Tuesday. Welcome back, everybody. I'm excited today because look who's back with me.
And I'm very excited to be back with you.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Yeah, back out of quarantine, out of COVID protocols, and uh, you, Paige, Lucy, everybody had it.
We did, and we had a lot of time to lay around and pick up head trash.
Oh no, what did you get, Matt?
So we're going to have to use today to help rid ourselves of some of that head trash.
Well, if anybody had it, it was probably Paige because she was taking care of two babies.
Yep.
One of them happens to be 6'4", one of them much smaller. But head trash, as Matt talks about, is just that those thoughts, those words, those beliefs that we carry in our head, and far too often they make that short journey to our heart where we internalize them and we own them and we start to believe them. And that's the worst type of head trash. I was talking with Matt the other day, and Matthew Kelly, one of my favorite authors who I've mentioned on here many times before, he had a short video a couple weeks ago, and he said, imagine in your front yard that a sewage line breaks and there's raw sewage gathering in your front yard, and you let your kids out to play.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing you know, your kids are just frolicking and flopping and swimming in all this disgusting, vile, raw sewage. And Matthew Kelly said, the head trash that we carry is more dangerous to us than that raw sewage would be to our children. And you and I get to see that every day,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see people that carry that head trash with them that they struggle to overcome. And that head trash determines so much of our outlook on our day, outlook on our life. It certainly determines the quality of our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, it determines the quality of our life.
Right. And, when I analyze it and take a look at it, I think the first question that comes to mind is, where does head trash come from?
Right.
Where exactly is it coming from? And I think a lot of places, upbringing, experiences, your current environment. There's a quote by Tony Robbins that I'm going to bring up. And it's more than anything else, I believe our decisions, not the conditions of our lives, that determine our destiny. And why I bring it up with head trash, because I think so often people view it as, this is just the condition, or this is just how it is, or this is the way it needs to be. But, we coach every single day, and there are plenty of examples of head trash. A couple of them, I can't sell it, to this type of individual or this level of the organization. Dangerous one is, I don't sell like so and so, right? Or I don't have the ability of so and so. We always talk about creating, the best version of oneself, and
Right.
that's our goal. So that imitation, not to say that getting best practices, trying to learn from other people's experiences is a bad
Embracing
thing.
process. Right.
But, I think far too often, especially if someone's new, they have so much head trash of, I have to do it this way, or this is just a condition, perhaps condition of the pandemic world.
Right. How many people are going through COVID
Yeah.
versus growing through COVID?
Hmm.
And, Matt talks about that which we bring from our childhood. And we often say that we arrive at today with baggage.
Hmm.
Sometimes that baggage is really, really good, right? Like, I love your family.
Yep.
I just absolutely love the Rogers family. If they were Italian, I'd want to be part of it, right? But there's just so much unconditional love in the Rogers family. You show up, you grew up with unconditional love. You realize that you are lovable,
Hmm.
not because of what you do,
Thanks,
but
Mom.
and Gare, but he realizes he's lovable not because of what he does, but because of who he is. And as I try to tell my children, I'm a very imperfect representation of our Heavenly Father, although I try to be. As a father, I'm very imperfect. And I want my children to know there's nothing they can do for me to love them any more or any less. But we all don't grow up with that. So we come into today thinking that, oh, we might only be as good as our actions, right?
Hmm.
So the most dangerous head trash we carry is I'm good when I do good. By the way, that's why so many people are out there at galas, right? That's why so many people love to donate money. I'm not saying that's bad. That's a beautiful thing. Support charities. But if you're writing checks to make yourself feel good, you have that condition of I'm good if I do good.
Hmm.
Conversely, there's people that see themselves only as an accumulation of the bad they've done. And they see, and whether that's bad actions to others, failures inside the business world, failures to meet quota as a salesperson, failure of relationships, whatever it might be, if we see ourselves as an accumulation of our failures, we're going to carry head trash. We're not going to like that person we see in the mirror. And it's so important for us to recognize that's not who we are. We were created good. You were created for greatness. You were not created for mediocrity. We were created, think about that. We were created. We didn't just come into being. We were created for greatness. And do we embrace that? Do we see ourselves as we truly are with the goodness that we have? Or do we see ourselves as an accumulation of our failures?
And something that brings to mind for me is that, we're talking about upbringing and head trash in our own head, but we actually have the ability to deposit head trash into others. And so we have to have that awareness of, our current situation, or, how we were raised, or our experience in the workplace. You have to be careful as a leader, as a, let's say, sales manager, that you're not depositing head trash into other people. I'd say once a quarter, we get into a sales cycle where we might be negotiating an engagement with the CEO, and then every once in a while there's a sales leader that comes in as a stakeholder, and it's funny to see that interaction, because more oftentimes than not, you start to get that flavor of, well, this is the way it is, or this is the way we've always done it. And you see, we shouldn't do too much change, or, it's perfect the way it is. And so it's quite interesting to see how much of an impact you can have on others as it relates to head trash. And
Positive and negative.
exactly.
Yeah, and the positive and the thing Matt and I hear quite often is, well, you don't understand, our business is different. Really?
Hmm.
Different from what? Because everybody thinks they're unique. Things won't work here. They're terrified sometimes of making those changes. And with subtle movements, right? Of just taking down each little barrier of what can get in the way, we can start to positively impact the head trash that others carry around unknowingly, not
Hmm.
realizing what they're carrying. And then negatively, if we go negative, and deposit our negative head trash into other people, our self limits, the self limiting beliefs that we might carry, it's contagious. And
Hmm.
I think that head trash, which can be defined also maybe as outlook, it's contagious, both positive and negative.
Yeah, it's a great point, because I even was thinking of head trash in the negative light just
Mhm.
by, you know, the word head trash.
That's
It
right.
sounds negative, but outlook, it can be very positive. And if we look at our business as a case study,
Mhm.
right when the pandemic hit, it was almost a parting of the seas.
Yeah.
There was that group of owners and CEOs that went underground and wanted to just protect, maintain,
Mhm.
stop the bleeding. And then there was that second group that had a tremendous outlook, that looked at it and said, "Whew, never saw this coming, but this is a great opportunity to hone our skills. This is a great
Mhm.
opportunity to reinvent our business. This is a great opportunity, when most people are retreating, to further invest in our people, because I don't know when this is going to be over. However, it's going to be over at some point, and we're going to be much stronger, and a better version of ourselves."
Yeah. And it's funny, those ones that retreat, those ones that we've worked with, and those ones we hear about that went underground,
Hmm.
or retreated back and pulled back into themselves, it was out of fear.
Yeah.
The ones that looked at opportunities and said, I'm going to go conquer this, it was with that healthy optimism, one might say faith, that led them to drive forward and know that I'm going to have great outcomes. One of those case studies is an individual I got to meet just recently, about 2, 3 months ago. His name is Brian Mealy, Mele.
Hmm.
Great guy, based out of Chicago. And his company, Sundowner, was producing a conference that we recently spoke at. And as he and I were talking in the hallway and having some one-to-one time, I said, "Man, COVID must have killed you, huh? Because here's a guy whose company for 50 years, excuse me, for 50 years has built and run and orchestrated and facilitated these massive corporate conferences.
Mhm.
Well, guess what didn't happen for about 15 to 18 months during COVID? Corporate
Yep.
conferences. I said, what did you do? What was the impact on your business? He said, well, at first it was scary, but then we pivoted into COVID help. What? He said, yeah, we started helping our clients acquire COVID tests. We started helping them establish COVID protocols. And I mean, you talk about an entrepreneur driven by faith who said, I can still do something. I can still go do this. He didn't retreat into his bedroom with his head trash and be like, well, that's all done now. 50 years, it was a good ride. No, he persevered. So, I was fortunate. I was like, you still selling any of those COVID tests? So I was able to buy some COVID tests and, help that side of his business and see these opportunities. But that's the question. Are we living today based on fear, or are we living today based on faith? And if we're living on fear, we're going to tell ourselves we're no good. We're going to have bad outcomes, right? We're going to, no matter what I do, goes back to the John O'Leary questions. What more can I do? Well, there's a lot we can do,
Mhm.
right? And it starts with, what do we tell ourselves in the morning? What do we tell ourselves when we go to bed? And what are we telling ourselves throughout the day in between? And the questions we need to ask is our head trash so powerful that it can drown out the positives that people try to pour into us? So when somebody tells you, hey, like we were joking here in the studio before we started recording today, and Bob, our producer, told Matt he's having a great hair day. If Matt
Which
was
I
a,
am. Thank you.
yeah, man, I remember. Wish I had that. No, I don't. I like bald because I have no time that I have to spend on that in the morning. But if Matt would have been like, yeah, but it's going away. I won't have it for long. Is his head trash so strong that it can drown out a positive? Conversely, is your self-talk so positive that it allows you to see yourself as you truly are, even when others are telling you you're no good? And that's tough, right?
Hmm.
But it's true. You are not the accumulation of your failures. Period. You are something better. You were made for greatness, and we own that. So we need to embrace that. So what does that mean for us today? What's that mean about how you're going to go take on today? Are you going to make that call to the CEO? Or are you going to tell yourself, why would he or she want to talk to me? Right? They don't. Or are you afraid of the questions they might ask? Because that might mean you might have to have better preparation. But are you going to tell yourself, I don't deserve to make that call? And in turn, by the way, I don't deserve to win that account. And in turn, I don't deserve to serve them. And maybe in turn, I don't deserve this role, and I don't deserve this industry. How deep does it go? Are you going to pick up the phone knowing you deliver great value, knowing you care about people, knowing there's no one else in the world they should want to work with but you? And you have the bravery to do the next right thing, to just make that call. And that's going to, whatever your decision is, by the way, it's yours. That's going to determine the outcome of your day and the outcome of your life. Matt, I'm reminded by one of my favorite quotes by one of my favorite presidents, Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan was one time asked about the difference between a pessimist and an optimist.
Hmm.
And you know this because you've heard this probably too many times, right? But the pessimist who sees things negatively versus the optimist that somehow can find the good in all. And he summed it up in this story. He said, the optimist comes downstairs on Christmas morning and finds a pile of horse manure under the tree and says, oh, baby, there's got to be a pony around here somewhere. And, are you the person that attacks the day looking for the pony? Or are you a person that attacks the day looking at the mess that might need cleaned up under the tree? It's your call, right? But the good news is you own it and you can determine it. So let's take out the head trash today, and let's decide the quality of the life we want to live and the quality of the day we want to experience.
Yeah. So the challenge for everybody, I think, coming out of this is to take a couple minutes, take 5 minutes after you watch this, and reflect. Just become aware where in your life you feel like there's head trash. Don't view it as this is just a condition of living. This is just a condition of being in this industry. This is a condition of being in this organization. Where
Or this relationship,
exactly.
or this circle of friends, or this neighborhood. it's pervasive throughout your life.
Yep, absolutely. So what do you want to change? Where do you have head trash? And so it really starts with that awareness. I feel like, and then it's potentially understanding it. Where does that come from?
Hmm.
Was that something that was your upbringing, previous experiences, and starting to reframe it in a way, not to go too deep, but head trash that we were working with recently was, oh, I'm new to this industry. I can't sell like Bob because Bob's a rock star for 25 years. He's got this
Hmm.
book. I'm new. Why would people trust me? What if they ask me all these questions? And sitting down and being able to reframe it with meetings that people would take anyways, and having that opportunity to say, hey, I'm new. Can I tell you a little bit about what I'm doing? Can I tell you about why I made this transition? Can I
Yeah.
tell you about why I chose this firm? 2 years down the road, you can't do that, but that person was able to
Right.
reframe it and say, hmm, I might not be able to sell like Bob. I might not have all the answers, but I have a great weapon now to
Mhm.
be able to get meetings and talk about where I am. And, I think finally it's about making decisions, in that moment when I face that head trash, what decision will I make?
Yeah.
What are those triggers, so to speak, or what are those situations where head trash comes up? And then it's just repetition after that.
You bring up decisions, and I think that'd be a great thing for us to talk about next week.
Yeah.
And so next week when we come back, we'll talk about decisions, and I think how the impact of our decisions determines the quality of our life. We thank you so much for spending time with us. We hope you never see us as the trash you need to take out. Hopefully, it's the head trash you're taking out today, and allow that to have you allow that to enable you to have a great week. So, thank you so much for spending time with us. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next week and talk about decisions.